Hello guys, welcome back to Purgatory. I literally just filmed the last part of this series yesterday. I'm not saying I'm gonna succeed, but I'm gonna try and film one every single day because I need a distraction because I don't have medication. I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna try and make it good. I have the wheel. I should probably screen record. I've got the wheel. We're gonna spin it, and I just put a bunch. Don't look at the corner. Don't look at the corner. I put a bunch. Don't look at the corner. I put a bunch of different tropes in there, a mixture of like good ones and bad ones, just all the tropes I could think of. So we might have to spin it a couple times. I don't do things the easy way. Yeah. But welcome back if you're really cool like that, if you're really slay like that, to the series where I take tropes too seriously because that's all that I do. It's all that I know. Because on this channel, everything's that deep. Everything is that deep on this channel. Everything's that deep in this world, to be entirely honest, but like whatever. And one day I'm going to make that merch. Watch. It's just going to be a shirt that says, it is that deep. It is in fact that deep. I like both of those. I don't know which one. Let's get rid of this love at first sight and spin the wheel. Huh? Not the love triangle. Don't cheer. Don't cheer.
The mic disconnects one more time, and I'll start a war. I'm that mad. That's how much of thin ice everyone's on. How much thin ice I'm on with myself. Okay, this close. One more error. If you see one more error happen, I'm starting a war. Just know I started a war somewhere.
So anyway, I'll calm down. Okay, just go away like that. Okay, ruin the video like that. Okay, does that count? I don't have glasses on. I cannot believe I forgot the glasses. This is disgusting. Jesus, this cameraman. Not the cameraman, this cameraman. Okay, just stop. I'm so sorry I forgot the glasses, but it is weird. Because I do this so that you can see my eyes, but also the glasses, but it cuts off my vision. So it's weird. It's like everything's red except for like the gap right here. It's weird. Anyway, the price of being slay. Ugh! Bars are impeccable. I am upset that it went away. How can I get it to come back? No, don't do that. Okay, we got the same one we got last time. Hello. Anyways, remove that. No, not like that. Love triangles. Boy, do I have things to say about that, and I'm the exact right person to be talking about this. Let me tell you now. Buckle in, strap in. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. I'm about to say some choice words. Buckle up. Lock in. So, love triangles are either overhyped or overhated. And there really is genuinely no in between, which is kind of crazy because the internet is full of, like all the different ranges, the different, like there's always an in between. There's always all the way over here, and then all in between. No. People are either very terrible people or very stupid people, which I guess is kind of the same thing. If you are going to bring up love triangles, you have to bring up polyamory. You have to bring up polyamorous relationships. This is going to be a long video. Oh God. There's two main issues with this. How love triangles work when it comes to polyamory, how people treat polyamory, and the reason why the love triangle trope exists in the first place with the men fighting over the woman kind of thing. And I don't know where to start. And just as a reminder before we really get into it, that this is not scripted. I'm kind of tired of only doing scripted videos. I didn't intentionally do that, but it's making me not film. So I'm kind of trying to just do videos where I go off the dome. So this is going to be an off the dome one, okay? Off the dome exclusive. Okay, so anyway, there's been this weird influx of hate towards polyamorous people, and it's always been there, but like there's this weird influx of hate with it for some reason now. And of course it all stems from the fact that people do not like differences. They do not like people that are different. And even if you are someone who is totally accepting of those things, of like LGBTQ, of neurodivergent people, and you consider yourself like left-leaning, most people, or everyone in some way, feels very protective of the things that they know and feel something a little off towards things that they don't. Like you can believe like the left-leaning stuff or whatever, but then like you see someone doing something just a little bit differently than you and something that you're passionate about and you're like, "Oh, that's not how you do, that's not right." You know what I mean? But there is this weird influx in the hate towards polyamorous people recently. And it's very interesting and makes sense that it is peaking, or I don't want to say peaking, because I haven't done like looked into history with that kind of stuff, but I'll say it, whatever. Peaking during the time where we have the smallest amount of community probably ever. And the reason I bring that up is because there are two paths that people who write love triangles tend to take to go. I don't know what I said. They either are like, and it's always a man, woman, man, you know, but whatever. So it's always either two things. The two men fighting over the woman, and then the woman has to pick, and then they always like give like a reason, like as it's usually like one character. They're always leaning towards one character, and then they kind of make the other character like kind of like strangely off-putting, like just so like, you know, like because they want you to choose that one. Or sometimes, a lot of time, they make one like the bad boy, and then one like just like the really like loving, like caring, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And of course the bad boy is very often picked, and I wonder why. They either do something like that, or, and this is usually like people like writing fan fiction and stuff like that, they decide to make it poly. As a polyamorous person, I don't know if I've ever said that online before. As a polyamorous person, I do not like that people immediately go to poly being the answer for everything. I've talked about it before, actually years ago on TikTok. Wow. About how polyamory is not always the answer for everything. In fact, a lot of the time it's not, because in a monogamous society, and maybe you are a monogamous person writing this. So as a monogamous person writing something like this, and just someone in a monogamous society in general, so even if you are poly, someone as in a monogamous society in general, dude, say that 10 times fast. You're going to write relationships that are not suited for, that do not make sense for a polyamorous relationship. Then you're going to make them polyamorous, and it's not going to make sense. For instance, again, I'll be using my favorite ship. I always do it. I will make everything about them, always, forever. Geraskier, Geralt, and Jaskier. There is this big, that's very popular in the Geraskier fix, that Jaskier has to compete with Yennefer for Geralt, because that's kind of how the show goes, to be honest. Literally in the show, Jaskier and Yennefer kind of have this rivalry and bicker with each other, because it's a jealousy involving Geralt. So that's a very popular thing in the fix. Jaskier has to compete with Yennefer for Geralt, because Geralt always chooses Yennefer, even though Jaskier should be the one being chosen because he's been there the longest. He's shown the most care, and Yennefer is pretty toxic, like stuff like that. And a lot of people immediately jump to poly and put them together immediately. They're like, that's the answer. Oh, they're fighting over Geralt. Well, then they all kiss and everything's good. It's so weird that people think that that's the fix. That's the fix, as if they weren't. You can't just change like that. Imagine you're competing with someone else for this person that like you're in love with, and you have these horrible feelings of not being good enough, of being insecure, of seeing them together and being so horribly jealous and like all this stuff, and then just getting into a relationship with both of them. Huh? Jaskier and Yennefer do become friends in canon, and a lot of people make them friends in the fix as well, even before it became canon. So Jaskier and Yennefer are very close. But to put them all into a relationship, I've talked about this for hours, for literal days, before that I can see some kind of reality with the characters Geralt, Jaskier, and Yennefer, where Geralt and Yennefer would be like, yeah, like we want to be together, and you know what? Instead of like fighting so much, like we're fighting over you kind of thing, why don't we just all be together? Because Yennefer and Jaskier are very close now. Geralt and Jaskier have always been pretty close, and obviously Geralt and Yennefer had this thing going on. So it's like, okay, then why don't we just all do it? So that I can see them taking that to Jaskier, and Jaskier being like, absolutely not. Because Jaskier, yes, is a slut, is a lover. He loves everyone. He's not a player. He just genuinely loves everyone. But that does not mean polyamorous. That does not mean polyamorous in all circumstances. People hear the word slut or lover or whatever, and they think, oh, no boundaries, no limits. Just you're open to anything, and that's insane. Similar, actually, the exact same, actually, to when people would think of bisexual people and think, oh, well, they're open to anything then. Like, no limits, no boundary. And it's like, I don't know where you're getting this from. Because, and again, I'm using this example to explain. I'm not just trying to go into my ships and the lore and everything. Jaskier competed with Yennefer for years. If you're going into like the fanfic kind of lore, like stuff like that, like what the fans have kind of agreed is, well, going off of the literal lore, the literal canon, and then, you know what I mean? He competed with Yennefer for years for Geralt's attention. Felt very insecure, like in the fics, of course. Felt very insecure, like he wasn't enough. Like he would never be chosen. He would never be first choice. And he had to watch as Yennefer kind of like rub that in his face, and Geralt would just ditch him. And that Geralt didn't even treat Jaskier the best to begin with anyways. So to imagine them coming up to him being like, so you and Yennefer are friends now, and you loved me, Geralt, for a long time. Why don't we all be together? It's kind of like, how dare you? Like, I see why you would think that, but at the same time, why would you think that that's okay? Because then now you're in a relationship, right? Now you're like, okay, let's say yes. Now we're all in a relationship. And now you're thinking, okay, so it was probably, let's all be together. Let's all be poly and be together. Because she always would have been first choice. If I would have said no, he still would have chosen her, and I would have been second choice. So in this relationship, it's still basically the exact same as it was before we decided to get into this relationship. You care for her more. You want to be with her more. Like, you see what I mean? Poly is not always the answer. And very similarly, Johnlock. John, a lot of people think that, you know, John and Sherlock were in love with each other, or just really close. You know what I mean? Before something happened, because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't watched it, I guess. After Sherlock is gone for years, John is about to marry Mary. That's her name. About to marry Mary, but then Sherlock comes back. And now it's this running joke that's also kind of really just true, that Mary, like, ships Johnlock. Like, she very much pushes John to be in Sherlock's life, and she sees their weird dynamic where they're very close, almost lovingly. And she supports it. She's like, do it. Like, there's a reason why in fics the tag Mary ships it is used a lot. A lot of people are like, okay, well, the solution to the problem, because the problem being that when Sherlock comes back, it's like, now Sherlock has to compete, because that's a very popular, you know, because most people aren't poly or haven't thought about it, or just, you know what I mean? And even if you are poly, you can still be jealous of people. You can still not want to be with certain people. Like, you know what? Let's take the hypothetical out of the situation, and let's pretend as if it's completely canon that, even though it is true, but whatever, that Sherlock and John are in love with each other, and that John, I mean, this is just true, that John was going to marry Mary because he missed Sherlock and all that stuff, so now they're all involved. Okay, let's say that's completely true, so that I don't have to be like, in fanfic and la 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 la. Sherlock now comes back, and he was always first priority in John's life. He kind of ruled John's life, and now he's with Mary. Now he's not living with Sherlock anymore. He's living with Mary now. He has a completely different life with Mary, and you can see Sherlock get very upset by this. He goes into depressions about this. He goes back into drugs because of it. Very platonic, very straight, very head. And then we find out that Mary is an assassin. She betrays them. The things that she's done to Sherlock. She shot Sherlock. I'm not going to get into it here because that's not what the video is about, but she shot Sherlock because she didn't want him to tell John, and then John leave her, which in itself shows she does not care for John, because John was on death's doorstep after Sherlock's death. The reason he met Mary was because of that. And she said, we know that when she found him, when they came together, he was like a husk of himself. He was miserable because that was his person, was Sherlock. And then she does it again. Then Sherlock comes back, and he's like, oh my God, you're back. And then she tries to kill him again. Like, imagine then trying to say, the solution to this problem is polyamory, is to ship them together. Are you actually mentally deranged? And that's not even mentioning how it's just a weird trope to be like, ooh, love triangle. Who's she gonna pick? Who are they gonna pick? Like, why? It's the trope of like fighting over something. Like, you want people to fight over you, because the whole point of the trope, of the love triangle trope, and might as well be called this instead, is wanting to feel wanted, is wanting to be desired. People, everyone on this planet is massively insecure. Everyone, because of just everything has happened in the world, everyone is massively insecure, and especially when it comes to relationships and with how they look and all this stuff. It kind of actually goes back into the last video that I made going over love at first sight. People don't want to work for relationships. They don't want what makes a relationship actually good. They want to just be given it. That's why they want love at first sight, because then you don't have to work for it. You don't have to earn it. And you are given it, and now you have the comfort of having someone, and now you don't have to be alone. You don't have to be lonely ever again, because now you have someone forever, and you didn't have to work for it. It was just given to you. How nice is that? You didn't have to wait. You didn't have to be patient. It was just instantly given to you, instant gratification. With the love triangle, it's like, look at these two people fighting over you. You're so wanted. You're so desired, and now you have your pick of which one that you want. And it's so strange. Again, it makes sense because of the world that we live in. But like, how can we think that that's healthy? Monogamous people thinking that polyamory is the solution to so many things is genuinely actually insulting and really weird, and honestly fetishizing. People they constantly fetishize it. It's very fetishized. Because then when you think polyamory, you often also think threesomes, which is why I also connected it to the bisexual thing. Because then people are like, oh, you're bisexual. Okay, then threesome. Let's have a threesome. Men do it to women all the time. It's this weird belief of, okay, you like both, or you like this and that rather than just this or that. So you don't have any limits, any boundaries. You're open to anything, and I can just have fun with you. I'm going to fetishize you. I'm interested in you because this means that I can have fun. I can do this thing I didn't think I'd ever be able to do. But that's why I'm interested in you, not in you as a person, but because of what you can offer me sexually, what you can offer me. Like, you know, it's very strange. People are insanely jealous now. That is the biggest thing in the world, probably. That's actually that is the reason why monogamy exists, is jealousy, really, and fear. Monogamy is as popular as it is because of fear, because the hate for polyamory makes no sense. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But to like talk about it as if it's wrong, it's just because that's what you're used to. It's because you are afraid of being alone, because you are afraid of being second choice, of not being actually loved. You are that is your fear. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. Like, your partner is like scrolling on social media. Remember that trend? Where like the man or just someone would be on their phone, and then they would film their partner laying like close to them, and it would show the partner that's close to them getting out their camera and zooming in to try and see what their partner was looking at on their phone, because they were that possessive and jealous and like scared of being cheated on, of not like that is so toxic, disgusting, unsafe. Never be in a relationship if you cannot trust your partner. If you can't trust your partner so much that you have to do stuff like that, what's the point of being in a relationship? You're just constantly stressed out and constantly, what is the point? So that I'm not lonely, so that I'm not alone anymore. Girl, if you have to worry about that, you're already alone. You've been alone and struggling. You're afraid of being alone, of not being enough, of not being loved. And that is why you get so jealous when someone else looks in someone else's direction, notices someone else is pretty or handsome. So of course, polyamory would be your worst fear. But then because now that's not you involved and it comes to characters, and you can think of them all being together and you can sexualize it. Now you're into the idea of polyamory because you're picturing them together and you're like, that's so hot. I love that idea. Rather than thinking about the actual relationship and how that would work. And that is fetishizing. That is a fetishization of polyamorous relationships. And it's so freakish and weird. If you're not into polyamorous relationships, no one is forcing you to be interested in that or to do it. But to be against it, talk about it as if it's bad or wrong, is freakishly weird. You're just not used to it. It's just not the norm. And so you're like, that's not normal. That's not good. Or maybe you're just not used to it. What is so wrong? This is like an argument you could use against like queer people too and like stuff like that. It's like, what is so wrong about just wanting to love more than one person? Oh no, it's so wrong. It's so evil that oh no, I'm not insanely jealous that my partner finds other people attractive. Like, I'm sorry to break it to you. People are going to notice when other people are pretty or handsome even after they get into a relationship, even if they don't want to be with them or whatever. And just noticing that is not cheating, is not like, if you consider that cheating, if you get worried about that, then you are not secure in this relationship. You are not confident in this relationship. You do not trust your partner. And why are you with that person if you cannot trust them? If you do not feel safe or secure in this relationship, you are using this relationship as a coping mechanism, not because you actually love the person. Therefore, you should not be in the relationship, because it's not only bad and abusive and unhealthy towards yourself, but towards them as well. I get it. We all want to be desired. We all want to be wanted. We all want to be loved. Why? Because we desire community more than anything else. Because more than anything else, we are alone and lonely now, in this country of America and the entire world. We are, in some way, shape, or form. And obviously not absolutely everywhere. But we are alone. We are lonely. We are scared of being with ourselves, of being alone with our thoughts. So we obsess over the thought of getting into relationships, of finding someone so that we won't be lonely anymore. Because if you're in a romantic relationship, that means they can't leave, right? Now you're in it for the long haul. And that's why people also get upset when they won't commit to like long relationships. And it's like, oh, you're just trying to be a player. You don't want to actually like be into like a devoted, committed relationship, and that's bad. No, it's because you are so scared of being alone and lonely because we have no community. And so it's like romantic relationships are the best ones, because those are the ones where they like can't leave, or like, and that means that I get this whole consuming kind of love, because we also think of when we think of romantic relationships, we now unfortunately think of like possession and like being like obsessed. And if you are afraid of not being loved or cared for or desired or wanted, what is the complete opposite of that? Obsession. So that's why people think that they want someone to be obsessed with them when they really don't. Of course, when that is your fear, when that is your view, when that is what you are experiencing, you are going to be against polyamory, because that is your worst nightmare. Of course, it would terrify you, when in actuality, it could potentially, it has the potential to be very healthy. And it seems so normal to me that, I mean, yeah, you love more than one person. Like, I think it's weird that we think that you can only fall in love with one person at a time. Because just loving someone is just being like, I'm seeing you as a person, and this makes me feel some type of way. Like, it's not that, like, I don't think people often think polyamory when they think love triangle. But even when you take out the fact that people like write fanfic and like do all that stuff, polyamory has everything to do with love triangles. Love triangles have everything to do with polyamory, because a love triangle at its core, it basically, the way that it's usually portrayed, is like anti-polyamory, because it's like, well, we definitely can't have both, so you have to choose. But then at the same time, obviously, choosing polyamory as like the solution isn't always the best solution. So it's like, it's complicated, but it also at the same time really isn't, and it's really simple. I know I'm probably talking in circles, but the reason people have a problem with polyamory so much is because of their overwhelming, toxic, unhealthy jealousy that they cannot let go of, and it eats people up forever, and they never let go of it, and it will ruin their lives. And it's very, very sad. While it makes me really upset that that is how it is, and that like we're just like, we normalize it or whatever, it genuinely breaks my heart so much that it's normal to be this way. It's normal to be unhealthy and toxic, and then we get our hearts broken, we become miserable, we become extremely depressed, we want to die, all this stuff, because we feel so lonely and so sad, because we just don't understand ourselves, because we do not work to understand ourselves. That is why it's so important to learn about ourselves, to know ourselves. I mentioned it in the other video. I won't go as into it as I did in the other video. But there's something called shadow work. I'm not entirely endorsing or supporting the term, because I don't know enough about it. The idea is basically to just dive deep into yourself and like your memories, to learn who you are. Just asking yourself questions that like maybe you wouldn't have. Like, again, as I said in the other video, you can get this book that I just recently like found. I went through it like briefly. I'll be going through it more so later to make sure that it's not like super terrible. Or you can look up shadow prompts online, but obviously use common sense. Don't fall for anything that if they're asking like weird questions, or like, you know what I mean? I mean, like, use your brain cells, comment, and like your sense. And if you do that, if you use a book like that, if you look into shadow work like that, or whatever, you will be able to dive into yourself as a person and start to understand yourself more. Therefore, you can know the things that you need help with, that you need to get help for, that you need to work on, that are okay existing. You will probably learn a lot of things about yourself that you weren't ready to. That is a sign that you need to step back, take a breather, and reach out to a support system and like learn how to cope with knowing this thing that you weren't ready to know about yourself or ready to just deal with in general. Once you do that, girl, like your problems, the way that you will approach your problems and your stressors, it will change for the better, because you know the ways to go about things now. You know the underlying issue to things. Once you know the underlying issue to things, you can take it out. You can, like a weed. If you're only looking at the very surface and you're only pulling at the surface, you're not going to get the root. You're not going to get down to the root of the problem. And so it's going to keep coming back. The problems are going to keep coming back. But once you understand that there is a root system underneath, once you understand how the roots work, all those things, because now you understand yourself, you understand the roots, you can pull the entire thing out. You can pull out the problem at its core, because now you know everything about it. Now you understand why you have it, like why you didn't realize it before, all these things. It's so simple to say, just learn about yourself and know yourself, but so little of us actually do. As per usual, I understand that you can enjoy reading things that maybe you don't necessarily agree with, like in the way of like, I mean, I've read love triangle things before, and I've obviously read the fics where like Jaskier, Geralt, and Yennefer get together. And I have enjoyed myself, but I know why I enjoy it. And again, as I've talked about all the time, if I enjoy something or do not enjoy something, once I'm thinking about, oh, I like this thing, or oh, I do not like this thing, I think, why? And I figure out why. I know I like the fics where there's like there's the love triangle of Geralt, Jask, and Yennefer. And then Geralt goes and chooses Jaskier. And it's because I ship Geraskier, and it makes me sad seeing Geralt always choose Yennefer first and never Jaskier. So then reading something where he chooses Jaskier over Yennefer, it is gratifying. It is a nice feeling. I know why I like things like this, and I know if I need help for it or not, stuff like that. And it makes everything so much easier. So my point is that yeah, you can read this. You're not evil for reading like at least this example. For reading these things, even if you don't like totally agree with it, whatever. I understand you can read things you don't, whatever. But that's not the point. The point is diving deep into love triangles and diving deep into these tropes. The whole point of this series, of the taking it too seriously or whatever, is to dive deep, or deep-ish, whatever. I can go more seriously into these topics if you guys want me to, where it's like scripted and stuff like that, but that is not what we're doing right now. So anyways, the point of this series of taking it too seriously is to dive into these tropes, why we enjoy them, why they exist in the first place. Just because I want to, because I mean that's what I do. I like to dive into why we do what we do. Because the whole point, my entire point, is work to be a better person. Work to fix the issues that like I'm all about change. If you know anything about me, change is the most important thing to me. Change is my word. So I'm not necessarily judging you if you like these things, but I'm saying be aware of why you like these things or dislike these things. I understand it can be difficult because you're like, this is the only thing that I have. This is the only thing that's helping me. Work out your own personal situation yourself. I don't know your personal situation. I understand where there are times where you're like, this might be what separates me from life and death, because that's how mentally unwell I am. But that's the thing. If you know that it's because you're mentally unwell and that this isn't good, you can work to get better, to get help so that you stop doing that thing. Right now, you could consider it technically harm reduction. You are reducing harm. This thing is helping you reduce the harm. It's helping you to not, like kill yourself or something like that. But to know that, to have that knowledge, is to have the knowledge that what you're doing is not good. And then as long as you have that knowledge and you are working towards getting help for it, then I mean, you're working towards getting help for it. So, like, what's wrong here? Let's consider, even though the love triangle isn't, like, too bad. Let's say that you're enjoying something terrible, like genuinely horrible, because that's the difference between life and death for you, but you're still, like, working to get help. The issue is that you are still causing harm. You are still causing harm to other people. But the thing is, you're only doing what you can do, which is trying to get help for it. If you're not trying to get help for it, then you are just someone that's hurting others because you were hurt. And then you're just continuing the cycle, so nothing's ever going to change. Some things you can work out yourself and alone. Some things you need to work out between yourself and community. Sometimes you need to work it out with a therapist. Depends on what it is. As long as you're working towards getting help for it, I mean, you're only doing what you can do. All you can do is what you can do. You can't do more than what you can do. Yeah, love triangles are weird, and it all has to do with our insecurity, and jealousy, which is because of our fear of being alone, because of our lack of community, because we are so alone and lonely that is a gigantic fear, and we don't want to be left alone with our own thoughts in a world that is so scary. That is why we are so into love triangles. That's why we're so into love at first sight. There's a link between the two, and you can see I didn't even do it on purpose. The wheel shows it. I hope you enjoyed me yapping and complaining about these tropes and taking these tropes too seriously. I don't know how long this series is going to be, how long I'm going to want to do it, but there are lots of tropes out there. And I think I also need to make a video like ranking tropes, like doing like a tier list of the tropes. I filmed a video on that a long time ago. I hated how I looked in it, I think. Yeah, because the lighting was so dark, and I ended up never posting it, but it's still, like, in my YouTube studio. I don't remember it, though. I do not remember what I did or anything at all, and I think I need to refilm it, where I just do a little tier list of tropes. Let me know if you're interested in that. Please, in the comments right now, please let me know. Thank you if you did. If you did, I love you. If you are new to my channel, I talk a lot about serious things. I make a lot of serious videos, and I try to balance silliness and seriousness. Sometimes I go just like in between. One's very silly, one's very serious. Sometimes I put them together. While this is a fantasy-based channel, I also just talk about like world stuff as well. So subscribe if you would like to see stuff like that, more of this stuff. If you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. Oh my god. You're so slay. Just for making it to this part of the video, if you did make it to this part of the video, I give you a gold star and a kiss. Because I love you that much. Because I appreciate it that much. So thank you to everyone who made it to this part of the video. Oh my god. If you like this video, please do press the like button because it helps my channel. And the money that goes towards this channel goes towards me getting out of this house. That is not a good one. If you dislike this video though, make sure to press the like button. Because unfortunately for you, not for me, the dislike button actually doesn't exist. I don't know what that's about. Oh, and if you did make it to this part of the video, comment a, I can't believe I almost forgot, comment a, like a sparkle emoji. And maybe just a sparkle emoji. You know, I always do more than one. Let's do a sparkle emoji, just a sparkle. Just do a sparkle emoji. Thank you. But do remember to be a good person and not a bad one, obviously. Because it is the one rule of this kingdom, the one singular law of this kingdom, and it's not that hard. And also remember that I will not see you, but you will see me next time. Of course, because again, that's how videos work. I never know what to say at the end anymore. I keep forgetting to have an animal with me. I just realized I didn't have an animal with me. I'm so sorry. Am I in focus? I don't have the energy for this. Okay, love you, bye. Kind of giving me a headache, these sunglasses. Oof. And I haven't even started the video yet. Maybe this is a bad idea. I have like a lot of health issues going on. And everything sets them off now. Stop sending me messages while I'm just filming.
Just saying, why the fuck would I hide my hickeys? Hickeys are a fashion accessory and a conversation starter. You a blood-sucking vampire that's a bad bitch? Hit me up, please. I need you in my life. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay.